Here we go, guys. Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, the weekly podcast from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, Professor Chris, and we've got a great show lined up for you as we tackle the news of the week that's relevant to you, our dear users in the world of on-chain investing and crypto. Today on the show, we have back on the panel for his lucky 7th appearance here, we have Ken, developer relations from Taoshi BitTensor subnet number 8, the proprietary trading network of BitTensor. How are you, sir?
I'm good. It's been some time, but always comfortable and cozy, even though I'm still in my office. But to be back on TVL, so exciting and exciting to meet the other the other people, other gentlemen.
Yeah, we have two new guests on panel today. Thanks to Chase for Mike also being here. Chase from Neptune Finance. Today we also have an amazing presence that I've seen at multiple conferences, but I finally got to shake his hand and say hello to him in Las Vegas at Bitcoin 25. Looking at your Twitter bio, full of wonderful titles, CDO of Manifest AI, CMO Sweeper, and founder of multiple initiatives. We are beyond blessed to have the man, the myth, the legend himself here today. Player One Taco, welcome, sir. How are you?
GM, Chris. It was amazing seeing you in Vegas as well. Finally, putting a face to the voice.
Oh, it's very nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you. No. Las Vegas was amazing. And how it turned out is I ended up flying home Sunday night, and then Monday night I had to fly to New York to go give a talk yesterday morning at Pace University. So
that's amazing.
Glad to be back home, and happy to be on TVL, and it's just a great time to be alive, man.
I agree, completely agree. And then below me here on the screen, brand new guest. Don't know a whole lot about you, Mike, but I'm excited to learn more about you. Welcome, Mike Kitt, Director of Sales and Trading at Netcoins. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me last minute here. Appreciate the addition. We're reporting in from beautiful Vancouver, Canada.
I'm so jealous.
Bitcoin Vegas.
I was there in December. Vancouver, one of my favorite cities on the planet, man. What great weather, great people, and great food. Man, I ate my weight in food in Vancouver while I was there. Whew.
Lots of sushi, I hope.
Yeah, a little bit of sushi, but I'm a big fan of diners, drive-ins, and dives, so I had to go out to Peaceful Noodle out south of Broadway. That was an amazing experience to finally have those hand-stretched noodles. It was everything I wanted and more. So generally, we have a little bit of a quick open. We'll go ahead and do it because we haven't done it in a while. We actually haven't been on the show in 2 weeks because I went to Bitcoin 2025 in Vegas last week. But to lift from one of my favorite podcast interviewers, Chris Van Vliet, I've really been into gratitude lately. Maybe it's because I'm a little older and, with a beautiful wife and 3 kids, I've just really felt, as Taco mentioned, thankful to be here, thankful to be alive in this time. I do a lot of reflecting on that. So just reflecting on the choices I've made, the things I've purchased, and it's oddly got me to some of the best products I've bought that have really just made me enjoy life in many ways that I don't think about. So I just want to know from you guys, what is something that you've purchased lately that's been just a great boon in the quality of your life? I'll start because this is an absolutely awkward segue, but I really appreciate a good ice cube. Now, I normally drink my water here at room temperature. Been doing that for more than a year, but for my go-go juice, the things that keep me focused, I need here in my Buc-ee's cup a good ice cube. So I did want to share, and I know this is absolutely ridiculous. I am so excited about these ice cube trays, and they produce gigantic ice cubes in these silicone molds that just really work really well, and they're fairly affordable. And silicone ice cube molds are just great because gigantic ice cubes, they melt slowly, they keep things cold, and outside of that, I'm just really thankful for my Retroid Pocket 5 because it helps me relive the video games that I played growing up. So
you put about how many ice cubes can you fit in your tumbler?
In my Buc-ee's tumbler, I only do 2, but I think 3 is a little overkill. Mm-hmm. So shout out to G Fuel for always keeping me focused. So Mike, we'll start with you, man. What is one product that you feel has just given the big quality of life that we don't realize?
Good recent product purchase. You're gonna have to make me think about that one. The first thing when you said bought, I don't know if it's not really a product, but I was gonna say we just got a dog recently, and that's definitely
Hey,
life improvement went up by a lot with that. So
There you go.
Might have to go with that one. Yeah.
How long have you had
I
your
love
dog?
that.
She's like 8 months now. Still in the puppy
man.
phase. Yeah.
So life
The best
improvement,
part.
slight dip, and then it just
Yeah.
it goes up.
Exactly.
I hear you.
It's so good. It's so good once you get to that part, man. Congrats.
That's awesome.
What's her
Congrats.
name?
Thank you. Rhubarb.
Oh, that's a
Rhubarb.
great name, Rhubarb.
Yeah.
How about you, Taco? What is a product that you've bought that really has just improved the way of life?
I would have. So I made this. So is it a recent purchase or like the last? I guess Mike bought his dog 8 months ago. So, I would have to say the Osmo Pocket Creator 3.
Great, great piece of tech.
I bought that when I was in Korea last year for KBW because I was really wanting to up my game on just like using my phone at the same time as well as recording. And so one, because of price arbitrage and duty-free status, I was able to get it for about $475 for the whole creator combo pack. Yay to the US dollar to the Korean won. And the Digi family's been awesome. And I originally had bought the extra mic 2 kit thinking like now I'll have 3 mics, but like you have to, that is made for like separate, like if you don't have the combo kit. So I ended up buying a second one of the mics, and it attaches and it pairs automatically to the camera. And so when I'm doing interviews, I can, don't have to hold a microphone. We can just talk with our hands. Or if I'm on a panel, I put it on every other person. So like everyone carries. And I use it for everything. I'm using it right now. And,
You're streaming from the DJI.
Yeah. So
I didn't think about that. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it plugs right into the computer, or I can live stream from my phone onto like YouTube or into my StreamYard. It's just super up the game, I think. The one thing that I had to do, and I learned this from trial and error, is I had to make the video quality worse. I had to go to the lowest setting on the camera to 1080p, 30 frames. Because like YouTube, StreamYard, Opus, all of these they won't take 8K video. Shame. And so it made for a great time. I think I did maybe 30 interviews during Bitcoin Las Vegas and Tokenized DNA House. And because I had such a quick setup, I got to interview some amazing people, Justin Sun, Tyler Winklevoss, the Prince. I cannot pronounce his name properly, so I'm going to, but Prince of the Zulu Nation of Africa that was coming to Bitcoin Las Vegas to learn more about AI and Bitcoin DeFi in business. Sugar Ray Leonard Jr. And I got to challenge him to a fight.
Yeah.
And he accepted. And then I promptly lost that thumb war.
Fair enough.
But great. Even during Tokenize, it changes the game. And what's hilarious is if you try to buy it now, it's like, because it's picked up so much, it's like $900 now, not almost $1,000. So my alpha is, if you travel, go into, and your international travel, look into the duty-free tech shops, because in those duty-free tech shops, you might find it still around that $550 price tag. So if you have a couple bucks to burn, totally up your game, or buy it for one of your other creator friends.
Dude, that camera, like, it's so compact. I mean, I don't want to hold us, but it's so compact. You could take it around everywhere, the gimbal and whatnot. One of my items too is my camera gear that I was going to share. And yeah, like, I always bring that wherever I go, just as like a backup. It's sweet.
Yeah. And
so Ken, you got to buy one for me. He said you got to buy one for one of your creator friends. So.
Yeah, but I got the Action Pro 5 as well for when I was down in Mexico.
Nice.
Thanks to Unicorn Fart Dust.
Yeah, UFD.
UFD. Those profits bought that, so I was able to go diving with it and parachuting with it as well. So yeah, man. Fun.
Love it, man. Appreciate the tech drops there. I'm a huge gearhead, so man, my wallet is literally burning a hole in my leg right now. Kenneth.
Well, speaking of cameras, I recently got this. Let's see if I can finagle this off. I got this top handle for my camera, this little guy, which is also like a mic thing, which has changed my life because I'm not an audio guy whatsoever. So all my audio was clipping, but I can actually set 2 levels for one mic. So if one of my levels is clipping, I can lower the other one, and typically as a backup audio channel. So that's been awesome because, yeah, just like audio in general, it's just not my forte. I'm much more of a video guy. But like, if your audio is good and your clips are like subpar, you still can use the clip. But if your clips are good and your audio is trash, you don't want to. It's like, maybe I won't use this clip at all, or I'm going to like put music over it. So just having a second audio channel has been kind of game changing. So that's been pretty awesome. So
Might put my ice cubes to shame, brother.
This has been a thing that's been over the course of 5 to 10 years. So it's just steadily building my rig and whatnot for different gigs and weddings and things I'm filming. I don't travel with this at all, hence the DJI. I do sometimes if it's like a big project, but hence the DJI Pocket 3, which is hella sweet. So that's probably my my item that has changed my quality of life here recently.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the segues. It's always fun to do a good open like this. We're going to go ahead into the news because ultimately this show is about educating our audience about what's out there in the news. How does it affect them with regards to their portfolio? So hello quickly to all of our new listeners on our podcast. You can get this as a podcast anywhere you get your favorite podcast, as well as to our new audience here on Instagram. TikTok, I still need a Windows PC in order to do that. So yeah, that's not happening anytime next week. But here we go with the news of the week. We'll go ahead and start with Bubbles, because Bubbles has been looking a little funky in the last week or so. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? There's a lot of uncertainty with trade wars. There's a lot of uncertainty with, with what's going to happen with the economy. And I think sentiment, and I think people are just honestly getting a little, I don't want to use the word bored, but they're getting they're just getting a little antsy, I think would be what it is. So a lot of red here in places that, Farcoin getting 10 down is, Virtual following along with Bonk, which is kind of interesting. Overall, SUI not as bad after they stepped in after the CETUS issue, which we talked about, I believe we talked about 2 weeks ago. But everything else is doing okay. Say after their GigaGas upgrade seems to be okay. That's just today though. If we look at the week, White Rock. I always thought it was cute that someone made White Rock to go with Black Rock, but here we go. SPX also sitting up top at 18. Overall, markets are holding on. ETH back up. We're seeing great inflows into ETH now for the last 10 days. That seems to be an interesting narrative on how. I know that people have been joking, or not joking, but worried that altcoin season's already over. But if this is the rotation into ETH, no one told us. So let's talk about that real quick. So ultimately, with the markets looking the way that they are looking, there's a lot of FUD on the timeline as well. Mike, we'll start with you, just from your vantage point. With regards to where we are in this cycle, do you feel that we're near a possible rotation? Are we done with the price discovery for BTC?
I don't think so, personally. I mean, Bitcoin's pretty hard to beat. I was really honestly surprised over the last 6 months or a year to see the depression in the Ethereum side and how much mindshare Bitcoin took over Ethereum. I think I probably have a timestamp somewhere, but I was saying Ethereum actually looked like a pretty good technical trade here about a month ago. It seemed like it was kind of undervalued just on the last couple year chart. It's tough to say. I think Bitcoin's at that, when it's at all-time highs, it's pretty hard no matter who you are to pile in when it's at that price. So maybe we do start to see some of that rotation. I think I just saw BlackRock was buying some Ethereum. Was that yesterday or today? So
it was yesterday.
That might start to see some appreciation there. I am curious how Ethereum is going to continue to perform with after their proof of stake upgrade. I had the assumption that was going to be really strong for its price, but it almost seems like it's decreased the velocity of how much ETH is moving around. Theoretically, it sort of makes sense if there's a lot of ETH just sitting there staking, not moving around. Maybe that's actually been a depressant to the price. So it'll be interesting to see if it'll get some interest now, and maybe some of the ETFs start to get a little more traction.
Yeah, great points. Taco, do you have any thoughts on the market movement over the last couple of days?
I do. Two pieces. One, you went to the daily and the weekly. I want to remind people on the monthly. A month ago, Bitcoin was at 94K, and we are ungrateful bastards to think that. Look at that. In the last, and if you actually time it, it's actually 24 days. Just over 3 weeks. We've seen this, a lot of movement. And so, yes, Mike is head on with Ethereum. We've seen Ethereum start to dip a little bit, but I think I saw one of the people I love seeing, and we'll be seeing again in Con later this month, Joe Lubin. And so I saw him at DNA House, in Vegas. And one of the things that we're starting to see is the Ethereum Foundation and the Ethereum machine start to tell its story and start to, not even to quote, but to fire on all cylinders. And this is one of those things where all projects do this. They just get so deep in their heads, into their screens of builder mode, they forget to talk about what they're doing. And then the community runs out of things to say and so when you have all of these things coming to a point, we're going to see I am buying what I can on everything. Most of the time I spend my time providing liquidity, and I live in trading fees. So I don't really care if the market is going up or going down. I'm still making money. But these foundational tokens, you can go have fun in any ecosystem. But the foundational tokens are where everything is at, whether you believe or not in, Cardano, whether you believe or not in Tron or Hedera, XLM, the silent killer in the background. XLM lost a lot of momentum when Nodal moved from XLM to its own parachain and Polkadot about 2 years ago. They lost 47% of their daily transactions when Nodal got its own parachain. But they are still closing deals on the international level for international remittance, and people forget of how important that is going to be. XRP, people have always thought is the number one player. XRP has been playing the insurance long form game, because what they do is they cover the difference of what a price deal should be when they send it and when it's received. They've been covering that difference. And so as banks are soon going to be allowed remittance in crypto, Ripple's not going to have to cover that insurance play anymore. And that means that arbitrage is going to happen. And I don't know, there's some great discussions today. We can deep dive into all of them, but I'm excited and I'm grateful for where we're at right now, because chopping sideways, that means people are trading back and forth. They're not dumping. That means money is being used. Blockchain is being used, bought and sold. And so as a liquidity provider, I love that, because that allows me to trade to provide liquidity in a narrow range, and just for more capital efficiency, allow people to have less slippage and me to make more fees. So, yeah.
Man, a man after my own heart. Thank you very much, Taco, for that analysis. We talk about that all the time with regards to why we love being in DeFi, being able to make fees, provide liquidity, playing off the behavior of other investors. It's a really profitable game, and we're going to continue to do it.
Even simple USDC and USDT.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't have to, like just playing in that pool alone, you're trading dollars for dollars and you're making dollars.
Yeah, I even also want to point out there's probably a good arb play on Phantom Sonic right now, because they just brought in native USDC. So USDC.E versus USDC, they're also probably a decent liquidity play as well. A little bit of alpha that dropped earlier this morning. Athena is going to be listed on Coinbase starting tomorrow. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next piece of business on there. I'll get to you in just a minute, Kenneth. I apologize. So one thing I wanted to talk about with the panel is a report from Key Rock. Now showing that, thanks to Taco's analysis, right, that stable coins now drive over 1/3 of DeFi revenue. And this is I guess you could say it's a more comprehensive report for those who are big into DeFi. This is not big news. We've been watching the market cap for stable coins rise significantly over the last 6 months, specifically on big chains like on Solana, on ETH mainnet, on Base, Arbitrum, Optimism, as well as new chains coming out as well. So this is not surprising. The surprising number to me that I've been watching is this USDT dominance number. As we get more RWAs coming down the pipe, as we get more institutions, now that Operation Choke Point 2.0 is done, and banks can offer stable coin products, which they're going to be, this number is going to fall. And it's all a matter of how quickly it's going to fall and how much institutions are going to come in. So, pardon me. Ken, I wanted to start with you. Your thoughts on the fact that almost 1/3 of the revenue in DeFi comes from stable coins through fees, through trading, through usage.
I mean, stable coins are just ramping up. I mean, I think we are, we kind of knew that stable coins were, when they first started coming out, I forget what the first one was, USDT. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then you start to see more and more use. And then now you're hearing about nation states and governments and back then you heard that as well. And now you're seeing even more use of it all. So, I mean, it makes sense. Stable coins, it's easy to understand probably for non-crypto folks, easy to understand for those in crypto. It's a great use case. So I'm not surprised by this whatsoever. I think it's just going to continue to grow. DeFi has excellent use cases. There's so many uses for DeFi. And some of these yields that people can get to, it's kind of like a no-brainer. It's the storyline of stable coins makes sense too, especially for like I said, different entities, smaller entities and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not surprised by this, and I can just continue. I can continue to see this grow and eating up some of the share of DeFi. This could be the actual use case of DeFi. Of course, there's side things that are all interesting, but this could be like the actual big thing coming out of DeFi that we've kind of been waiting for. So we'll see. We'll see what comes out of this. But this is exciting, and I think it's just going to continue to grow.
So, Mike, one thing that we talk about is that stable coins are the killer app of crypto. And it's interesting because you can't really trade stable coins. They're really more just used as the pair you trade against, especially on CEXs. So kind of wanted to get your thoughts on specifically your view on how stable coins are going to play into the fabric of hopefully bringing retail back with regards to like e-commerce or anything like that. Any analysis you have, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, stablecoins make sense from a lot of different angles, both inside and outside crypto natively, right? So when you look at, global apps, global e-commerce, just payments in general, what do people want to get paid in right now around the world? It's still USD at the end of the day. And I definitely think it's the gateway drug to the whole rest of the ecosystem and getting people into DeFi, into Bitcoin, into these other ecosystems. But the use cases are so wide, I think it's going to be hard for us to even conceptualize how big it's going to be. I mean, the US dollar markets and derivatives are in the multiple layers of trillions of dollars, and we're only at 250 billion right now. So if you get, the rest of the world transacting on stable coins, it's going to be absolutely massive. If it's integrated into WhatsApp and Messenger and Instagram and all these different places, I think it's going to get to that point where it's what we all envisioned when we first got into crypto, the whole world using it. And we're just starting to see the cusp of that now, that there's entire economies being built on top of these. It's not just people going in between different DeFi protocols and lending. I think that's a great use case, but that's really just a financial aspect of it. Once it starts leaking into day-to-day life, it starts to get really exciting. And the remittance piece, I think, is one of the dominating stories here of this cycle. We're seeing so many different countries starting to adopt this, and being able to transfer between the US and Africa and South America and Asia. It's really incredible. And I think the only real thing that's holding back some of the volume is slightly different regulations in different markets. So USDC has a very good stronghold and position in North America. They're highly regulated. They've mostly played by the rules. Tether has a fantastic product, and it's used globally, and it's integrated everywhere. And now they have some really good political footholds. So just watching the competition in this market from a pure business perspective is really fascinating to see it play out, especially when the growth and the number of people involved. You look at Tether as a business, and they have 100 people. They're one of the most profitable institutions on the planet. I mean, we're really looking at how business is changing across the world now. You can have a company that makes more money than a huge bank that with a very, very small team. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'll bring you in just a second, Taco. The next thing I want to talk about is very much related to this. One thing that this article talked about is just the increase of stablecoins on Solana, which is good to see with regards to DeFi. The market cap or rather the volume for stablecoins has tripled in the last 2 years, all things considering. And now it turns out that looks like it's going to be tomorrow. Circle is going to be filing and coming public as Circle Internet Group Incorporated. This is actually a very large news piece because, frankly, this is the biggest IPO probably since Coinbase in 2021. So wanted to get your thoughts overall, even with what you were going to talk about probably on the last point, with just the landscape of stablecoins with a lot of people that you talk to, especially with, you mentioned, some heads of state that you recently talked to about, what are the thoughts about with all these CBDC pilots, maybe not a thing that's needed anymore now that USDC and USDT are becoming easy ways to remit payments internationally.
So I think with we saw all the FUD over the last couple of weeks of, Circle being bought by someone and that was just market manipulation from a couple voices in some way, shape, or form. The other IPO that we have coming up Gemini as well, will not be as huge as Circle, but like this is like I'm looking at like a Dune dashboard right now for USDC mint, just on mainnet, and over $93 million was minted yesterday, and so positive versus burn. So 155 million in mints and 62 million in burn, meaning whenever someone burns USDC, they're taking it off chain and transferring it back to their bank accounts. And so that the USDC is working. This whole piece of stable coin Genius Act, and as we're seeing Mica, starting to get felt out in Europe, or Mika, USDC is still being the prominent piece. Now, USDT, still a worldwide player. We're seeing, I think USDT will be sort of like the unbanked dollar in a way. USDT came out, like, succeeded. Tether is one of the number one treasuries holder in the US.
Top
worldwide, 20. Top 20, and it came out of providing services to the unbanked, namely pot industry, and so as we start to see this happen and Circle and USDC take I don't want to say a stranglehold, but take a foot in front of everyone else, at an institutional level, we'll see USDC be a big powerhouse. And the common line out of all of this stable dollar stuff, that anyone with a license and meets these banking requirements, the running joke is, when Taylor Swift stable, So that's the running joke on that. But we'll start to see things like that happen, and so, but they'll all be backed by USDC, So I think there's some big prominent moves coming on. We're still seeing a huge mint of USDC and USDT on Solana. Most USDT that is minted on Solana gets transferred over to Tron, because that's where a lot of USDT works worldwide. We sort of stay into this magnifying glass of focusing on what's going on in the US, and we think that that's the only market that matters. Africa has the largest P2P network via cell phone, text message, in the world. Heck, you can even send Bitcoin via ham radio.
It's amazing.
So the technology is getting in play for major support of peer-to-peer transactions, supporting individuals whose native currency is being decimated by inflation, whether, and we see, we saw PayPal launch a stable. For those that travel in APAC, even, oh my gosh, I forget the name of the transport app. They have a stable. So when do we see Uber dollar? When do we see Lyft dollar? I feel like that we're going to see these happen, because Lyft, Uber, and other transportation apps that are in countries that are supporting gig workers in the gig economy, that will allow gig workers to have more control over finances, tips, and everything like that. And I think it's going to be some really cool stuff.
Yeah, the only part that really concerns me, and obviously we need more centralization before we get decentralization. I think that's going to be the trend, right? Is the ability for, this money to be programmed in a specific way. And I think that's probably something that a lot of people kind of in the back of their mind remember, that, Tether and Circle can freeze assets at will if they need to. So the ability of having more decentralized bills, I think that would be, or tender, I think will be good moving forward. So I think we'll just have to see where this all plays out. Solana token extensions also provides, a huge programmability there that will allow, creators to control that, as you said. So I think having all of these tools and having them available, and then now including, the big wigs, Visa and MasterCard are going to be doing a ton of settlement in stablecoins thanks to MasterCard's Move framework and what Visa's been doing for years now on mainnet. So I'm excited to see where this ends up. There's going to be a lot of competition to see who has the best stable, but as long as the backing is solid, I think we're going to see an interesting movement of self-creation, hopefully, in some way. Obviously, it's going to be very crowded, I think, once we start seeing the banks themselves start putting out their own money. Like I will not be shocked if we don't see a Fargo buck, right?
Well, Australia's central banks, they have stables.
Yes, they do.
And so they've been doing this for a moment. Who would have thought down under had the up one, on this. And so we're seeing some cool stuff happen.
Yeah, if you want to look at some interesting history around this, there's actually some similarities towards the US in the early 1900s. So before the Great Depression, most of the banks actually did offer their own dollars. There wasn't a uniform US Fed dollar that was equal across all the different banks. So during the Great Depression, that's one of the reasons why the bank run was so bad, was because all the individual banks were capitalized themselves, and they had such a big fractional reserve that when people went to go get the money, they didn't have the capital to back it, and then they collapsed. So a lot of people lost their savings through that. And I'm very curious to hear your guys' input, how, the stablecoin and kind of ecosystem is going to grow, because one thing that I haven't quite put my finger on yet is how many stable coins make sense. Does it make sense to have 3? Does it make sense to have 20? Does it make sense to have 1? How is that going to play out over time? Because if every bank has their own version, are they going to be easy to work with? Are they going to be interoperable? Are they going to be lending against that and, not backed by an accurate reserve behind the scenes? It's going to be interesting to see, because at least with blockchain, we should theoretically be able to see everything. But, is JP Morgan going to show their balances versus what Tether's kind of opaque, USDC isn't? What do you guys think?
I hope it doesn't end up like all the subscription services where we have like 20, 30 subscriptions. And really, I mean, it's just subscriptions is all the rage. So, where it's just so many stable coins. We're now getting to a time where, other subscriptions have bought other subscriptions, and we're kind of whittling away. So hopefully, in the beginning, and maybe we're in that phase now where we're just too many stable coins, or there's going to be too many. But I think in the future, I think we'll come to a place where, it'll even out. We'll settle down. We'll figure out kind of what the right amount is. Hopefully, we'll see. But that's kind of my forecast.
Well, I think, maybe not necessarily banks or protocols, but nation dollars move on chain. We've seen Brazil do that. We've seen the USDC euro, and so more and more currency based, and this may lead to that CBDC piece, but it also gives nations better trading opportunities and arbitrage on currencies for stabilization. Because if currencies are being able to be traded at blockchain speed, that balance of being traded should not be a race to zero. Should.
No, you're absolutely right. On Base, on Aerodrome, they're trying to bring a ton of 4x on chain through Aerodrome. So yeah, as you mentioned, New Zealand digital dollar, Canadian dollar, Brazilian real, Indonesian rupiah. There's about 10 of them that they're piloting with, and they're going to be bringing more on chain to really just bring more of that there in effect, because Coinbase is supposed to be coming on chain Q3. So curious to see where it goes from here. I think what would be interesting, at least in your ecosystem, Ken, with BitTensor, is if some group comes in with a subnet to kind of model kind of how fiat currency internationally can be kind of, as you mentioned, controlled through AI type algorithms, decentralized AI algorithms. I think that'd be kind of interesting to be able to provide some type of stablecoin digital super commodity, as they do there with subnets on BitTensor. So,
and it's interesting. You're hearing rumblings of that now within the BitTensor ecosystem, because now with some of these stable coins, it's sort of like a I'm not sure the right phrase for this, but it's kind of like a top-down approach, where maybe that is the right phrase. But whereas on BitTensor, it would kind of be from the bottom up, where it's decentralized essentially. I mean, and these stable coins are decentralized as well, but this is kind of a different approach too. So that would be really fascinating. And you're hearing talks about it now, and I'm sure it's going to come. So I have to keep an eye on that. Give you guys the alpha if it comes.
Yeah, do that, please. That would be good. We'll go ahead and move on to the next thing, and what we'll do is we'll just kind of do a quick rundown of. Mike, were you in Vegas last week for the conference? I didn't get that. If you were.
Yeah, I was there.
Excellent. Well, next time our paths meet, definitely want to say hello to you. But so except for Ken, sorry Ken, but the rest of us were in Vegas for BTC 2025. What an interesting event. I think it was an interesting dynamic, I think, compared to last year in Nashville. But I think for me, just seeing there's definitely a lot more casuals there. There's a lot of suits, which didn't surprise me, but there's a lot more casuals, a lot more flair, different groups, which I thought was really fun. That looked like your backpack for a second, Taco. But FastX mentioned that more than 30,000 people came and descended upon the Venetian in Las Vegas. I spent a little bit of time on the floor. I was surprised by how much BTCFi and non-Bitcoin layer 1 was there. Like I stopped by the Botanics booth, the So Value booth, Liquidium, some of these other groups. But I still think that the main thing that was great about the conference were the side events. And I don't think a lot of the casual people, went to the side events. We all certainly did. I saw Taco, of course, at DNA House quite a few times. I went to Inscribing Vegas, which was excellent. Definitely turned my mind around with regards to ordinals, thanks to the team at On-Chain Monkey, for really showing me some really novel innovation that's happened since Denver, which I wasn't expecting to see. Tons of big tech companies there taking private meetings. Banks, lots of banks were there, looking to help people take loans out on their Bitcoin, or help give them advice on what they can do with their Bitcoin, both onshore and offshore. And of course, also BTCFi was a huge focus. Like I just mentioned, Botanics, talking to Xverse, talking to quite a few of the big DeFi facing chains that were out there, BOB, of course. So I'll start with you, Mike. What was from a BTCFi perspective? Because at least for our group, we have a lot of people who have Bitcoin. They're still trying to figure out what's the best strategy to kind of take their Bitcoin and earn additional yield. So what did you see from your vantage point as the keys for what was there?
Yeah, I mean, between Nashville and Vegas, there was really two themes. It felt like they were very close together. I mean, it was getting close to a year, but I was surprised, going backwards a little bit, that at Nashville, they announced it would be in May of the next year. It seemed like that was really close by, but it felt like there was much more of a focus on lending versus
Yes.
There's a lot of like L2s on top of Bitcoin with tokens. It felt like that was a huge theme in Nashville, and then lending took over on this one. In Canada, we've had some lenders that have officially got regulated status, so they can actually offer loans directly to clients. And I think that's probably going to be the theme going forward. I mean, Jack Mallers announced or continued to talk about his lending product. And then how do you structure it, right? Like, what jurisdiction is it going to be? Is it going to be through a business? I was just listening to Michael Saylor's talk, and I think he actually had a really good kind of overview to go like, what are all these different layers that you need to think about? Where do you live? What city, what state, what country? Do you put it in a corporation? Do you hold it individually? What type of corporation do you put it in? yeah, I think lending's really the spot that's going to start to make sense. And then the question that I have after that is, where's the yield coming from? Is it Bitcoin maxi? That's what we always like to ask. And is this marketing interest? Is this getting rehypothecated? Where are we actually earning that interest? But on the flip side, I think it's exciting because it's starting to feel like almost like 10 years ago when Bitcoin was first starting to get popular. Everyone wanted to try a lot of these products, lending, payments, etc. There was a lot of movement, and then it kind of fell back, and we've been sort of clawing back at some of these more retail or day-to-day use cases. And it feels like now we're at the scale where that's actually going to start to make sense because it's such a big asset now. So, having your Bitcoin loans, being able to spend it, having the cards, and having all this infrastructure built around it feels like you can actually live and capitalize on your coins properly now. And there's just a lot of support, more information around it. So I don't think I've ever been more excited to be a Bitcoiner than after last week. It was honestly really exciting to see everything.
Awesome. What about you, Taco? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so the different DeFi use cases for Bitcoin were heavy there, from BOS, Botanix, Lendon as well, but huge shout out to Zeus as well.
Yes, Zeus.
Bitcoin on Solana. The fact that they were doing proof of reserve with Chainlink from day one really sort of makes me happy. There was a new protocol that I was introduced to, Yala, which is working to make your DeFi Bitcoin smaller to use in different aspects, but also borrow, lend against. Everyone's trying to take up this Michael Saylor strategy, buy Bitcoin, borrow against it to buy more Bitcoin, make Bitcoin go up, number go up. And so if everyone is doing that, that always worries me, because, when someone fat fingers sell, that will just decimate everyone. But there was a lot of talk on the technology of future proofing Bitcoin as well. And so I think my intern friend over at VanEck sort of pointed it out best. They were like, in Nashville, everyone was asking about Solana, and then Bitcoin Las Vegas, everyone was asking about Bitcoin at a Bitcoin conference. What was really cool was seeing the surrounding technology also really having a huge focus there from the data center sides, as well as, Exxon was there, Shell was there, because they were talking about their coolants used in mining facilities. And so, and they worked with mining facilities, and they accepted payments in Bitcoin, for their services, which is really cool, And so whether or not they as soon as they get Bitcoin, they then sold it, or if they're actually, now that regulation is coming into play, that they can hold it as well, I think that's a really big play. That we'll start to see Bitcoin become more of an asset held by companies rather than being instantly converted to USDC USD. And there was a lot of good talk pieces there on the DeFi side of Bitcoin. Justin Sun talked a lot. As we saw, we had both BitGo and everyone else on the stage talking about the grandfather of DeFi Bitcoin, WBTC, and the powerhouse that it still is. I know that Coinbase has really started to take an anti-WBTC approach, because they're trying to push their own product, CBBTC. And so it gives everyone an option anywhere. Even now in Coinbase app, you can borrow against your Bitcoin, So and there a lot of real estate not even protocols, companies that will allow you to take mortgages out against your Bitcoin, pay for mortgages with your Bitcoin. And I don't know how many times I can
think somebody
say
has
it.
self-repaying loans on that too.
Yeah, we've seen that through a couple different protocols try to take root, where you're lending into a protocol that's providing liquidity, collecting fees that is slowly paying off your loan and stuff like that. Huge shout out to an old friend protocol that has been decommissioned, but it's still working in perpetual because they didn't have a problem with their protocol. It was the lending platform. The DeFi Yield Yak had a compromise, and so yeah, I think there's interesting ways to do things, and the surface is just getting scratched, but we've seen Bitcoin being one of the best performing assets in the last 15 years. Did the math. If you had bought $5 of Bitcoin in 2011, early 2011, when it was 0.004 cents, you'd have I think I did the math, and you'd have $36 million today.
My background would have been me on the beach. But...
Yeah, and not the virtual version.
No, not the real version. Actually,
I'd be streaming from outer space. That's where I would be.
I had to do the bad math, and when I say bad math, meaning you just sort of shake your head a little bit of how much Bitcoin I sold in 2013, and that would be today. I probably honestly would not know you gentlemen. So I sold my Bitcoin. That would be valued around $1.4 billion today. I sold that in 2013 so I could hang out with you guys today.
Love it. Serendipity works in amazing ways.
Stay with those plebs. I hear you.
Yeah. Keeps you grounded.
Exactly. It keeps you humble, right?
Who knows what Taco would have been like if he made that money? I mean, you might not even be Taco. You could be, a different name. You could be,
Burrito.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. Yeah, I often think if only. But this is the world we're in, and we're gonna keep shipping. We're gonna keep building.
Yep.
So
one of the fun things that I found that you could spend your Bitcoin on, Blue Origin, they were there, and I signed an NDA with them, and but you can spend Bitcoin to go into space. Go above the karma line.
Yeah. For 45 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely on my bucket list. I don't think I'll ever get there, but that would be great if that's the case. Before we continue with the conversation, did just want to do a quick segue to talk about if you're enjoying our panel day, one of the best we've ever had. Again, thanks to Ken, thanks to Taco, thanks to Mike for being here today. All that wouldn't be possible without our great group at Total Value Locked and the Beacon Mastermind. Shout out to all our Beacon Mastermind founding members. This is our free group, Total Value Locked from Beacon. We actually just released a product couple 3 or 4 weeks ago called the Beacon Challenge, and it's something that we've done. It's a little bit different, but the idea about the challenge is to help you earn your first dollar in DeFi within 48 hours, and then we'll give you all the skills to scale that to all kinds of consistent returns. So you can check out the video on how to get started at beacondefi.io/challenge. Sorry, Mike, for covering your face. But again, if you want to join a fantastic free group, because in this space, it's all about edge. And our free group and our mastermind are fantastic ways to join to earn edge. School.com/beacon. Join the almost 1,500 people who have followed along with us since February 2024 to really just give back about all of our experiences since we've been in the space here since 2019. So again, school.com/beacon, absolutely free to join. Would love to have you there. We do a free training every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, called Beat the Banks, and I'll cover another topic there this Friday. So thanks for everybody who has joined us today. Let me get this banner off the screen. We did actually have a focus topic. I don't think we're going to make it there today, called meme markets, but that could be a new narrative that's filling up due to Solana taking the Clanker playbook and creating internet capital markets, and now Hey Terminal and a couple other groups coming back with Doppler with token capital markets. So a lot of Web 2 to Web 3 movement coming down there, but I did want to give a chance for our panelists to talk a little bit about what they do and put some shine on their projects. So we'll start with you, Mike. Thanks for being on the show today. Tell us a little bit more about Netcoins, sir. Or anything you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Netcoins, we're a crypto exchange. We're available all across North America. We work with clients globally. We trade most of the top 60 coins, so Bitcoin, stable coins, ETH. We offer staking and a whole number of services, including lending and payments. So I work on our business team. So I work with lots of different companies that are adopting Bitcoin treasury strategy. They need API driven trading. They need fiat on and off ramping. Pretty much anything you can imagine. If you need crypto, we help with that. So that's our main focus, and we're sticking to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, Mike. I know you have a hard stop, but would love to have you back on for a future show. Fantastic having you here.
Thanks so much. It was great meeting everyone, and we'll definitely cross paths at one of these conferences. And hope you have a good rest of your show here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll be in New York for from Permissionless, at NFT NYC at the end of this month. So yeah, hopefully
I'll get you guys
see
on
you there.
Twitter, and we'll stay in touch. All right,
sounds good.
See everybody.
Taco, I think I hear you flipping that Rainmaker coin. That I can just tell from the weight. I'm like, that sounds like the Rainmaker coin that I keep hearing. That's amazing.
Y'all got that in Vegas?
Yeah, this is at the DNA house. I've got 4 of them, but they're weighted. It's perfect.
I got
perfect
this
as
one.
a.
Is it this?
Looks just like that. Yeah, look
yeah.
good. But this one's actually heavier than that one. You got that in Austin, right?
No, I've been having this one.
Yeah.
That's smooth.
I got this one at DAS.
Okay.
From London.
Yeah, I see. It looks just like this Rainmaker coin that I have.
Yeah.
I see.
This one has the bowl and the bear.
Oh, I love it.
Nice.
You know? So yeah,
super smooth. And they have some heft to it, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have a pile of them that I can just fiddle with.
Yeah.
You know, the Money 2021.
There you go.
How'd you get that money? Were you at Money 2020 last year?
Yeah.
I was there too. I didn't see you.
I have some old school coins. I have who remembers Desk?
I do remember Desk.
I don't know if I've ever heard of it.
From CoinDesk.
Yes.
I'm the one that accidentally made a liquidity pool of Desk on because I wanted people to sell me their Desk so I could then just go just decimate the gift shop.
Exactly.
So, and then the fun one, this one is from Uniswap.
Sweet.
These ones actually, so Uniswap used to do poker chips that had a complex QR code for airdrop. And they've switched over to NFCs. And so I was invited in Dubai to, or not Uniswap, but 1inch. And I was invited by 1inch to their new office in Dubai when they were announcing their integration with Solana. And so they gave me a bunch of them with a whole bunch of 1inch airdrop on base. So that's just some of the things I have sitting on my desk. But yeah.
You're probably like me, where you have so much stuff scattered around. I got a little nick because I'm a fiddler.
Oh, 100%. I have a magic 8-ball from Fireblock. Yeah. And then I still, for my daily show, I still have to do the swag report from Bitcoin Las Vegas.
Yes.
Of all the swag I got. But yeah. So I have all of those, the fiddlers from the Rubik's Cubes to coins, and all sorts of things to just sort of keep my hands
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
I will say that during this episode, I've been using the orange cool golf balls from Sui that I got before I flew out from the T-Box Caddy event. Shout out to Alberto and the team from Crypto Mondays for that. So yeah, I've just been rolling these here in my hand while you guys have been talking. So Taco, tell us more about how people can learn about what you're doing at Manifest and on your other great projects.
Yeah, so Manifest is, we are Manifest AIS on Twitter, manifest.network. We are, the people will use the word decentralized, but we prefer the word sovereign. We are a decentralized sovereign AWS. So we run tier 3 and tier 4 data centers around the world. And we're basically a enterprise grade digital ocean. So anyone that is using AWS, Azure, Ali, GCP, you can replace with Manifest, whether it's bare metal, node infrastructure, Kubernetes. We work real heavy in the AI ecosystem and open source with like Venice, Morpheus. Yep. I'm an early code contributor to Morpheus. We have about 36 protocols right now that we're providing services to. We do it in a unique way. I run our permanent capital index fund. And so we do token swaps, pre-TGE most of the time at like seed level investments, and we'll take a portion of their token supply and we'll burn them into our treasury board as permanent capital, an underlying asset. And then we give them the same dollar value of MFX, and then they burn MFX to pay for services. So we sort of take cash off the table, and we're coming in at such an early point that they're a benefit to the ecosystem. So the longer they hold the token and the more token swaps I do, the higher the value of MFX goes. And so we keep doing things like that. Right now we have about 500, our current market cap is around 525 million versus for all the tokens we've swapped. We've done some big partnerships with like Render, where we're providing the AI compute now that Render is moving over into AI as well. Render Network, which is a DeepIn project, their GPUs can't necessarily power what's needed on the AI world in Hollywood, in VFX. And so we're providing that compute for them, whether it's training models or just running protocols. And so that's sort of the fun side of things. We're a big partner with DAS, as well as with the OAA, the Open Agents Alliance, which is spearheaded by Near AI. I flew to New York to speak at Pace University yesterday morning, which was pretty cool, to talk about, the privacy side of AI. And, if something is free or super discounted, that means you're the product, right now, especially on the frontier models. And so we're a huge champion right now of some of the different models from Morpheus, as well as Think Agents, but Venice for the whole user side of the privacy, owning your data. We have some awesome partners, Sapien, Wire, just all around good people looking at it in the long-term side of things, So
yeah, I love it. I'm a huge fan of Eric Voorhees and what he's been building. So congrats, on Morpheus. Yeah, our community did really well on the Venice airdrop. Not that that matters at all. But
yeah, no, the Venice airdrop was I loved seeing the haters on it, because it was people that didn't use the product,
right,
complaining that they didn't get a big enough supply.
Yeah.
And the fact that Eric literally gave away $250 million, didn't make people happy. And we did a really big campaign push for Venice at Token 2049 last year. And so basically anyone that had signed up and started using Venice 2 to 3 months right before the airdrop would have just free AI would have gotten around
4 figures. Yeah.
5.
5. Yeah.
Where was I at? What?
You know, my
I told you
airdrop,
about it.
I probably did.
yeah, my airdrop, because I started using Venice day 1.
Yeah.
You know, 6 figure.
Wow.
You know, I round tripped that because I went and staked, you know, 90% of my VVV because that's how much I believe in it on the long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's man, it was a great day for people that believed in open source, decentralized AI and privacy. And people are hoodwinked sometimes by the term open source, meaning that it's good. I was with the founder of an exchange that I'm friends with at Bitcoin Las Vegas, and I was talking about building a private AI for his exchange. And he's like, well, we're using like the DeepSeek. And I was like, well, which model? Like, oh, you know, like the open source one. And I was like, ask it about Tiananmen Square. He's like, and I'm like, and he's like, well, it's the open source one. I was like, yeah, it has all this CCP biasness in it. And so he asked it and like it started to give an answer, and then it just went blank. And it was like, we cannot answer this. And I'm like, he was like, So open source doesn't always mean it's stripped of biasness, weights, and pre-training. And so this is one of the things that education goes such an amazing way. And, you know, shout out to the entire Beacon ecosystem, you know, for being part of the journey of just learning, you know, because that's education side of it. Like, how else are you supposed to survive in this meme cycle? You know, but I was excited to talk about the meme cycle. I'm excited for this Pump Fund launch.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that in a future episode for sure. Because I mean, if it happens, it's in 2 weeks, and we'll definitely have you back on to talk about it because I know you definitely have some thoughts. So thank you so much for being here. Everyone, follow this man. You guys don't understand how much of an influential and amazing figure that Taco is in this space.
just
So
follow
thank you
him.
so much for
I just followed
thank you
him.
so much for taking the time to come on, Taco. It really is. It's a huge cup filling moment to have you here. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. You know, thank you for having me. You know, Chris, I am a product of my environment. I try to surround myself with good actors, and you know, and yeah, so you know, like not to shill, but to shill, I guess. I want to shout out to the crime family that's probably joining us. One of the bad actors that spends way too much time in my head, Sahil.
Sahil Bloom, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought he had taken over Snoop Dogg's account because Snoop Dogg asked the random question that Sahil accounts always ask. Let me ask you a question. And then, you know, is it a crime? I was like, Sahil's about to drop a token called crime and extract. And so I was like, I'm front running this one. Went and made a crime token, you know, totally trolling Snoop Dogg and everything like that. And then it turned out Snoop Dogg was launching an album, dropping an album called Is It a Crime? So now it's transitioned into building out a prediction market where people will be able to ask, the question will always be, is it a crime? And then people will be able to vote on whether or not is it a crime. And it will be everything from, I'm sure it will get trashy, you know, to like, this dress, is it a crime? to the founders, getting burned out and like walking away because everyone thinks it's super easy to be front and center in this space, to have your face out there, to everyone knowing your name, so it is hard work. So shout out to you, Ken. Shout out to you, Chris, for being here.
Appreciate that, Taco. Yeah, it's a grind, but we're here because we have a true passion for what we do here in DeFi.
Yep.
Kenneth, give me a quick update on what we're doing with Glitch, sir.
Yeah, man, Glitch is coming along nicely. Still in beta, still currently working. We're working on it right now. So it's coming out soon. Just looked at some designs earlier today. For any of those that don't know, Glitch is kind of built on top of BitTensor. Glitch is a product that's kind of powered by BitTensor. We are essentially gamifying trading, taking all that data and putting this non-custodial trading platform together for people to use. So if you want to know more, follow me on Twitter, Raleigh_CA. Also follow me on YouTube. I produce content explaining BitTensor and Taoshi and the subnets if you're interested. And this is probably one of my most enjoyable sessions we've had here. Chris, we need to get these fellas on.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Taco, you're a genius. Enjoy your vibe. And then Mike was awesome too. So as always, enjoy shooting the shit with you fellas.
And to anybody who's going to Paris for the BitTensor event this week, have fun. Wish I could be there. And but we'll be here grinding as we do every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern since 2021. The show here, which is the Beacon TVL Roundtable. We're here at your local podcast aggregator, and we stream to Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, stream.tv, Instagram, and a couple other places. And I forgot to click the go button on Instagram again. Oh, well, it is what it is.
No one uses Instagram anymore.
No, hey, don't.
Don't fade them. Don't fade them.
I stream daily to LinkedIn.
Wow.
I have not done that. We need to consider doing that as well with your bites.
That's all right.
Yeah, LinkedIn. So I stream daily to LinkedIn, 2 YouTube channels, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Kick, on-chain via Abstract, Arena, Filecoin on Solana via Sol Media Tech.
Wow.
And Twitter Spaces. So
covering all the bases.
Yeah, and Chris, you saw Rumble is coming in heavy. They were at Bitcoin Las Vegas as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have a DeFi wallet coming up.
I did see that.
Tipping directly within Rumble, and they want to support creators. So
excellent. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to them because we are on Rumble. We're just having some issues getting things set up, but we'll definitely talk to them and learn more about their wallet because I'm very interested in that. So, but we're quite a bit over time. Stick around, gentlemen, while we do the outro. But thanks for being here, everyone. Hopefully, got great value. Really fantastic panel today. We'll have another panel again here next week, talking about the biggest news in DeFi, crypto, and on-chain investing. We'll digest it all for you to know what works and what doesn't. Obviously, not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't ask us. We're DGen. But we'll see you on the next episode here at the Beacon TVL show. As we say here on the show, beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody.